place isn't ours anymore. I can't be loved. It all reminds me of
Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Kendrick. This channel is all about life tips, motivation, and education. I think in my past video, I was explaining, maybe it was a couple videos ago, I was explaining how November was one of the toughest months that I've ever gone through in my entire life. By far, the most difficult month that I've ever gone through in my life. And it got me thinking, and I say that in a lot of videos, but I think a lot. And it got me thinking about, and because I sat with those feelings and I was trying to understand everything that I was feeling. And that's the message for today is being okay with feeling what you feel. I think it was about maybe 6 years ago, I started going to therapy. And it was something that somebody brought up to me, and I kind of, I was pissed off because I was like, well, what do I need to go to therapy for? Because at the time, I thought therapy was for people that suffered from depression and anxiety. But I didn't know there were other levels to therapy that people could go and do their healing. And so I went, and first session was solid. Second session was okay. Then the third session, the therapist pissed me off. And I was just explaining this to my mom, and I've never told her before. I think this was one of the first times that I've mentioned something to her. And I was telling her how I went into that session, or just those sessions in general, thinking that I was going to outwit and outsmart the therapist, that I thought I was real clever and smart, that I was going to put on this mask and not allow him to kind of read me. And that was just like 6 years ago until now. It's just how immature I was with my thinking back then. I was mature, but I was immature. And I think if it wasn't for therapy, and I still go, and I'm extremely vocal about going to therapy. I have no shame in it. I'm proud that I go to therapy. I'm happy to tell my story of going to therapy. I struggled with identity because I grew up playing sports from when I was, I think, 9 years old up until 21, 22. So that's all I knew was being an athlete. I never really truly developed myself as an individual, stripping away or pushing away or just kind of throwing sports away. And so I explain all of this of going to therapy is because November, yes, it was the most difficult time of my life. I've experienced the most difficult things in my life, but I experienced some of the most difficult emotions that I had to get through. And if it wasn't for therapy, I wouldn't have sat in those feelings and thought about things that I was actually feeling. There would be, and I've told this story before to some of my closer friends, of I've lost people in the past and I didn't feel anything from it. And to me, I would question, I was like, why don't I feel anything? And I just didn't know how to process feelings at the time because I'd been so used to just masking my feelings or masking what I was truly feeling. So I had this mask on. And therapy, so fast forward now, therapy has gotten me in a place where I feel literally everything. And I don't hide from those feelings. I sit in them. I journal about what I'm feeling to try to figure out how I need to move past the feelings that I'm feeling. And so I say this, and I say, the topic of today is feel what you feel, is because men in today's society, we are just taught to mask all of our feelings, to suppress anything and everything that we feel. And then you wonder why men commit suicide. You wonder why men suffer from depression. You may not always see it, but a lot of men do suffer from depression. Men suffering from anxiety. And I know men and women go through the same thing, but men are more likely to commit suicide than women are. Men don't open up and speak about the feelings like women do. There are resources for men, but from a societal standpoint, those resources don't make us feel like we can actually go and seek out those resources, whether it be therapy, counseling, going to get a massage, meditation, yoga. Men aren't taught that. Men are taught to just, hey, toughen it up, rub some dirt on it, stop being a wuss, man up. What does man up even mean? And you specifically hear it in the sports world all the time, especially on the middle school, high school level. Oh, you got to man up, get back out there, especially football. But when we ask a coach, and this is the type of person I am, what do you mean, coach? What do you mean by man up? There's crickets in the room. Because the very coach that's telling you to man up doesn't even have an explanation for you on what that even means. And we wonder why we have so many men that have anger. We wonder why there are so many men that suffer from the things that we suffer from. These are the things that you have to ask. What do you mean by man up? How can we be of value to our young men coming up in sports? Are we helping them when we say man up? Rub some dirt on it. But I truly think a real man is somebody that takes care of his responsibilities, provides value to other people, shows up in relationships with love, is able to be vulnerable and speak about what he feels, and solid with who he is as a person. It is okay to feel what you feel, man. That is why I've created a men's circle. Some people believe in them, some people don't. That's cool. I know what I'm trying to create over here. I've had men come to these spaces talking about parents that they lost. I have had men come to these circles talk about their partner or their spouse, and how they can become better to improve their relationships. I get this. This is a topic for me because I used to be all of these things. I used to be the person that didn't share anything with anybody, even my own family, even people that I dated. And then I looked at some of those relationships and I was like, am I the problem? By me not sharing, how do people actually get to know who I am as a person? So I'll wrap this up. I've taken enough of your time, but I really want us to start thinking about these things. I want men to understand that it's okay to feel what you feel. Now, I will say this. Men, you cannot dump all of your emotions onto your partner and think that it's going to be okay all the time. I get it every now and then, but if you constantly dump all your feelings onto your person or onto the person that you're dating, it may backfire. That's why it's important to have friends of value, friends that want to help you, friends that want to inspire you. You can't talk about everything with your partner. You can't. There are some things that men just understand from a man to man. You can say what you want, but men understand men. So when we bring up these topics of, hey, how are we supposed to be the man of our house? These are things that men can talk about. And we can kind of pick off of one another and say, oh, you do this. Oh, I do this. Okay, how's that work for you? I think our partners appreciate that we go to our friends sometimes instead of dumping all of our emotions onto them. So I'm going to leave you with this. Have you lost somebody in the past and you haven't truly sat in those feelings? Have you had a hard breakup, and instead of actually dealing with the emotions of what that brings, do you just jump into the next relationship and mask the feelings? Are you hiding yourself from the world because you're scared to become vulnerable? Men, we can feel what we feel, but we have to make sure that when we feel what we feel, we're making sure that we're getting the help that we need in order to help us through some of those feelings. It can be therapy. It can be through a men's circle. It can be through a coach. It can be through close friends. Whatever it is, whatever you think you need that can help you. But I'm going to tell you what, from personal experience, closing yourself off to the world and closing yourself off to the feelings that you need to feel is not healthy. Think on that. Like I say in all my videos, let it marinate. Until next time, I'm out.